All right, so today we're diving deep into something pretty fascinating, the science of semen.
Sounds intriguing.
It is. You know, we often just think about sperm, but you send over some really cool research about all the other stuff in there too, and like why it matters.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's easy to overlook the fact that semen is actually this complex fluid with a whole bunch of ingredients carefully designed to support the sperm on their journey.
Right, it's like a whole support system in there.
Exactly.
So we're talking about three main accessory glands that contribute to this mix, right?
Yep, you got it.
Yeah.
The seminal vesicles, the prostate gland, and those tiny bulbourethral glands.
Bulbourethral glands, that's a mouthful.
It is, isn't it?
But each of them has a specific role to play, and all together their secretions do four main things. They kind of activate the sperm, give them energy to move, propel them along, and then also protect them from those acidic environments.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you think about all the things that have to happen just right for fertilization to even be possible.
And you mentioned the typical volume we're looking at here is what, like 2 to 5 milliliters per ejaculation?
That's about right, yeah. And it's interesting because if someone consistently has a lower volume than that, it can actually be a sign that something might be up with the prostate or seminal vesicles.
So something to keep in mind, I guess.
For sure.
So let's break it down gland by gland. Starting with the seminal vesicles, those seem to be the heavy hitters.
They really are. They contribute the most, about 60% of the total volume.
That's a lot. And one of the key things about their secretions is that they're alkaline. Why is that so important?
Well, think about it. Both the prostate and the vagina are naturally acidic environments.
Oh, right. So it's like a counterbalance.
Exactly. That alkalinity helps to neutralize those acidic conditions and create a much more hospitable environment for sperm survival.
So they're not getting zapped right away.
Right. And here's another cool thing. The secretions from the seminal vesicles actually kickstart something called capacitation.
Capacitation. What's that?
It's basically a series of changes that happen to the sperm that allow them to become supermodal and capable of fertilizing an egg.
Oh, so they're not ready to go right out of the gate.
Not quite. They need a little bit of help from the seminal vesicles to get them prepped for their mission.
I love that prep for their mission. And all of this fluid, this 60%, it's discharged into the ejaculatory duct during emission. So what are the key ingredients in this stuff? What makes it so potent?
Well, one of the main things is a high concentration of fructose.
Fructose, like the sugar.
Exactly. Sperm need energy to swim, and fructose is an easily metabolized source of that energy.
Makes sense.
Then you've got prostaglandins.
Prostaglandins?
Yeah, those are kind of like chemical messengers that stimulate smooth muscle contractions in both the male and female reproductive tracts.
So it's helping things move along.
Exactly. And there's also fibrinogen.
Fibrinogen, that rings a bell. Doesn't that have something to do with clotting?
You got it. It actually forms a temporary clot in the vagina, which keeps the sperm all nice and concentrated together for the first 15 to 20 minutes or so.
Ah, so they have a better chance of reaching the egg.
That's the idea. And last but not least, the seminal vesicles also produce protease, which helps to break down any mucus in the vagina.
Wow, it's like a multi-pronged attack.
It really is.
So we've covered the seminal vesicles. Now let's move on to the prostate gland, the next big contributor.
Right. This one's a bit smaller in terms of volume, about 20 to 30%.
Still pretty significant, though.
Definitely. And its secretions are actually slightly acidic.
Oh, interesting. So how does that work with the alkaline fluid from the seminal vesicles?
Well, it's all about balance, right?
Yeah.
And even though prostatic fluid is slightly acidic, it contains this crucial component called seminal plasmin.
Seminal plasmin.
Yep. It acts like an antibiotic, helping to prevent UTIs in males.
Oh, so it's protecting the guys themselves.
Exactly. And the prostate also plays a role in moving the fluid along through peristaltic contractions of its wall.
So it's like a little pump.
Kinda, yeah. And remember that clot we talked about from the fibrinogen?
Yeah, the one that keeps the sperm together.
Well, the prostate secretes fibrinolysin, which liquefies the semen after about 15 to 30 minutes.
Oh, so it's timed.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. The sperm get that initial boost of being all concentrated together, and then they're freed up to swim more freely once they're closer to their destination.
That's amazing. It's like a perfectly choreographed dance.
It really is.
Finally, we have those bulbourethral glands. They're pretty small in terms of volume contribution, but they still sound important.
They are. They secrete this thick alkaline mucus.
Mucus.
Yep. And it has two main jobs. First, it neutralizes any residual acidity from urine that might be hanging out in the urethra.
So it's like a final cleanup crew.
Exactly, ensuring a safe passage for the sperm. And second, it lubricates the tip of the penis, which helps with, intercourse.
Right, makes sense. So they're providing both protection and lubrication, very important roles.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about the volume of semen, but what about the sperm count itself? What's considered normal?
So typically when we're measuring sperm count, it's done after about 36 hours of abstinence.
Okay, interesting.
And the normal range is anywhere from 20 to 100 million spermatozoa per milliliter of ejaculate.
That's a pretty wide range.
It is, but it's important to remember that there's a lot of individual variation.
So it's not just about the numbers.
Exactly.
It's incredible to think about how each of these glands contributes something essential to the whole process. It's like the seminal vesicles provide the bulk, the energy, and that initial structure.
Right. And then the prostate comes in with the protection and helps with later mobility.
And those tiny bulbourethral glands are like the unsung heroes, making sure everything runs smoothly.
It really highlights how complex the reproductive system is,
Yeah.
and it all has to work together perfectly for fertilization to be successful.
It's like this incredible symphony of events happening at a microscopic level. It's mind-blowing. Thanks for walking us through it all.
My pleasure. I always find it fascinating to think about the intricacies of the human body, even the parts we don't always talk about.
Well, I think it's important to talk about them. The more we understand about how our bodies work, the better we can take care of ourselves.
I completely agree.
And on that note, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See ya.